Would you be my mentor? I'd really like someone to help me out. I always tell people, if they can, to find a mentor that's 1 to 2 steps ahead. But then it occurred to me, I haven't had a mentor in years. And to keep my credibility with you all, I always make sure that I don't give advice that I wouldn't take myself. I'm looking for someone to be my mentor that will work with me closely and who will allow me to film our sessions and create content from it so my viewership can be in the room. Mentoring others is a great way to grow yourself. In this video, I'll go over my mental framework for how to mentor others and to kick off my search for a mentor and what I'm looking to get out of this relationship. Welcome to A Life Engineered, where we take an engineering approach to your career. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Steve Huynh, Meta, that dude from Amazon, or your successful cousin Steve that your parents always compare you to. And I'm an L7 principal engineer. On this channel, I give you all of the ideas, information, and advice I wish I had when I was coming up, all for free. I'd like nothing more than to spend my time making content and putting it out into the world. And if you'd like to support me in this endeavor and to keep sponsors away from this channel, take a look at my Patreon page. First, there's some terminology I'd like to align on, which is the difference between coaching and mentoring. Coaching is when you engage with someone and they conduct an evaluation of where you're at and give you suggestions on what you should do next. A mentorship relationship is one where mentees or proteges come to their mentor with specific items that they need help with. A coach might say, after talking with you, I think you need to learn how to scale systems, not just design smaller components. Here's how to do this. They've taken some time to do an evaluation of where you're at and have suggested a specific course of action tailored to you. A mentor might say, you've said that you'd like to focus on scaling systems to millions of users. I was in a similar position earlier in my career, and this is how I went about it. With mentors, you come with the things that you want to work on, and they advise you on that thing. If the engagement lasts for some amount of time, it may turn into coaching because they might notice some things that you aren't taking into account, but generally, with mentorship, you provide the source material and the starting point. When you provide support to people, you want to make sure that their expectations are clear from the get-go. Being a coach means that you have time and are in a position to do a comprehensive assessment of a person's strengths and weaknesses and to provide critical and actionable feedback. Being a mentor means you actually know how to grow and develop people in their requested dimensions. When you enter a mentorship relationship, unless you have the bandwidth to provide coaching, you should make sure that prospective mentees provide a statement of their need to you. These needs fall into 3 categories: goal setting, behavior change, and skills. With goal setting, people are trying to figure out what they want and how to get there. Should I become a manager or a high-level tech IC? Should I work for a mega corporation or a startup? With behavior change, people are trying to figure out how to deal with difficult and challenging situations. How should I deal with a difficult coworker? How do I know when to pipe up during a meeting? Basically, this sort of advice comes down to what should I do questions. And with skills, people are looking for advice on how to get better. How do I become a better coder? How do I get better at system design? How do I get better at writing? So when people approach you to be their mentor, you need to be able to speak to their needs. You may be 1 or 2 steps in front of them career-wise, but don't have any advice for them. For example, if you're a woman and you need advice on how to deal with the challenges of moving up in your career as a woman, I can't provide effective advice. Okay, so what makes an effective mentor? Well, it comes down to 3 things. First, you need to be in a position to be brutally honest. A person wouldn't be coming to you if they could figure out something on their own. Usually, there's something that's holding them back that they aren't seeing, which means that an effective relationship is one where you're helping a person change themselves by getting them to see difficult truths. Personal change doesn't occur overnight, and it's rarely comfortable. You will need to change an aspect of their belief system, of the way they think the world works, or the way they think about their effectiveness. Your goal should be to create a safe space, and this is a skill itself. In the past, I've hurt people's feelings with a mentorship relationship, and the root cause was that I didn't create a safe space to provide radical candor, and my feedback was received as me being condescending. Doesn't matter what my intent was, I hurt their feelings, and that's my fault. Second, you have to be a really good listener. Yes, you have a lot of sage advice. Yes, you've experienced a lot of things over the course of your career, and you can probably relate to a lot of their problems that the mentee brings to you. But you need to let them do the talking, and you need to listen to what they're saying, not just hear their problems so that you can map the situation back to yourself. Just like in engineering, you may think that the problem at hand is exactly a problem that you've encountered in the past. There are problems that look very similar initially that may require a different tack. You can't know which is which without active listening and asking follow-up questions. Mentorship is not a forum to listen to yourself talk. Finally, you need to care and be invested in the person. Hopefully I don't have to explain this too much. If you don't care, don't be a mentor. You should be invested in the mentee and want the best for them. I am where I am today because people took an interest in seeing me do well, and I'm a big fan of giving back and sending the ladder back down. I wouldn't have created this YouTube channel if I didn't want to help others. Okay, So how do you effectively mentor someone? People are asking for your advice about goal setting, then the best way to give advice is to ask probing questions. In other words, employing the Socratic method. The answers to what someone truly wants are very personal and come from within. You can't make these sort of decisions for them. What about their life and work is going well? What about their life and work isn't going so well? Are there people around them that have what they want? Are there people around them that definitely they don't want to be like? Why? When mentoring for goals, I think what people need is someone that can listen and to help them interpret how things are going in their life and to think clearly about what it means to have different targets and goals. A question I get often is whether they should want to be an engineering manager or a high-level tech IC. I can tell them what it's like being a tech IC and what I know about management and how they are very, very different jobs. But the right answer is highly dependent on the person and what they want out of their career. And the best way to elicit this is via the Socratic method. If people are asking for advice on behavior change, again, first listen, but instead of asking questions, you should instead focus on telling illustrative stories and working on getting your mentee to become more aware of themselves. Oftentimes, when people are asking the question, what should I do? The most useful responses are what you did in a similar situation, assuming again that you have been in a similar situation. Listening is still a big part of telling stories. Check in to see if your story maps to their life. If it doesn't, don't slog on with a story that doesn't pertain to your mentee. But if it does, this is great because 1, it demonstrates that you have been there, and 2, that there was a positive outcome or a cautionary tale of a bad outcome with a specific behavior choice. Mentees can take the good bits and leave the stuff that doesn't map to them. The most important part of behavior change is awareness, because without that, nothing else matters. I once mentored someone that stated that he wanted to be better at knowing when to have backbone, that is, push back on ideas, and when to disagree and commit, that is, state their objections to a decision, but in the interest of progress, agree to support the thing that they objected to. I wasn't in every meeting with this person, so it was really difficult for me to know how this person was behaving in meetings, other interactions. After some stories about my past, I told him my mental model, which is that pushback and agreement moments happen often in meetings and that he should come back to our next meeting by documenting how others handle these situations. Basically, his homework was to provide a report of 4 examples of how others had reacted in similar situations. This allowed him to build his muscle to know when the critical moments were occurring and how others navigated similar situations successfully or otherwise. We dove into the homework and I asked him to dissect the different situations and I indicated how I would have acted in similar situations. For backbone moments, where he needed to push back on ideas and hold ground, I advised and he witnessed that this should be reserved for situations where it was a hill worth dying on, and he could articulate why the dissenting opinion represented an unacceptable outcome to the organization. Pushing back on merely preference or things that didn't matter was annoying and made people not want to work with you. On the other hand, for disagree and commit moments, where he should vocalize his opposition but lean into the group's decision, he learned that these should be reversible decisions that represented 2-way doors, where a speedy decision needed to be made, and trusted team members or the majority of the group agreed otherwise. In these situations, there are 2 outcomes: that the dissenting group was ultimately right, in which case he would earn trust from the other side because he was enlightened enough to go along with the decision, even though he opposed it, or that he was right, and that in the future, his opinion would hold much more influence and sway because his position was right all along. For this example, yes, I could have just told him some stories about what I had done in the past, but without giving him homework and cultivating his awareness, I think it would have taken him a lot longer to really get it. And finally, if people come to you for help growing their skills, whether it's coding, design, writing, or whatever it is, the best way to give them feedback is to observe their quality and their level of skill. This may be challenging if your mentee is not in the same company. It's a policy violation usually to share code, documents, and other artifacts with outsiders that isn't open source. But if you are in the same company, there's no reason why you can't read a document that they've written if they want to get better at writing. Providing honest and actionable feedback is critical, as is checking in regularly to ensure that the feedback is acted upon and to answer questions as they attempt to implement your advice in the real world. Things are usually much more bumpy than anybody would like, and the instructions and feedback may need clarification. Okay, let's get back to me. Me. I'm looking for a mentor, and here's what I'm looking for. 1, you are 1 to 2 levels ahead of me. I'm currently an L7 engineer at Amazon. That means you are probably an L8 or above senior principal or distinguished engineer at a FANG company or equivalent. I don't care much about levels or where you work. My goal is to influence and lead a larger tech organization and to scale my influence to more engineers. Currently, the org that I'm in supports about 250 STEs. 2, you are good on camera. If you're a content creator, that's even better. 3, you can commit to working with me over an extended period of time. I'd like some time to put your ideas into action and to check in on a regular basis. And 4, I can do something for you. Perhaps it's access to my subscribers, perhaps it's something else like monetary compensation. I understand that mentorship and coaching coaching takes time and effort, and I'm ready to compensate you for it. This sounds like you? Please fill out the form linked in the description. I'm super excited to get some mentorship and create awesome content from it. If you found this video interesting, this is just half the story. Don't miss out on my video on how to find a mentor. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section below, and I'll answer it in my next office hours video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.